Jolly good. And we are live. It says once again,
Oh, good.
Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday, yes.
Happy Tuesday. However, having said Happy Tuesday, I must just start off at the top by saying today is the 7th of October and our hearts bleed for everybody in the Middle East, Israel, Gaza, Palestine situation, and the trauma and the pain. And we just want everybody and all of their kids to be home safe and loved and what have you. So I won't bum anybody out further than that, but our thoughts and our love are with all of those affected on either side. So today is going to be, however, very uplifting. And we're going to talk about music and spirituality and mushrooms.
Oh,
not those kind of mushrooms.
No, not those.
But anyway. So Martin says, I'm in. Excellent. Our guest today is the wonderful artist Chris Pierce. He was born and raised in Pasadena, California. He's a singer-songwriter and multi-instrumentalist whose soulful voice and powerful lyrics bridge folk, blues, and Americana. Over a 25-year career, which you won't believe when you see him, he's shared the stages with legends including Neil Young, B.B. King, Seal, Al Green, and Jill Scott, to name a few, and his songs have appeared in major TV and film productions. He co-wrote We Can Always Come Back to This, which was featured on NBC's This Is Us, and it hit number 1 on the Billboard Blues Chart and number 12 on the iTunes Top 100, propelling him to national attention. Chris's acclaimed album, American Silence, from 2021, confronts race, justice, and hope with poetic honesty, earning comparisons to Richie Havens and Bill Withers. He's also half of the duo War and Pierce, and it performs as Reverend Tall Tree, his blues alter ego. His latest contribution to nonprofits is as a part of the star lineup on Heart of Gold, Volume 1, The Songs of Neil Young, on CMG Kilphonic. He's singing the iconic Southern Man, and we'll talk about how the choice came to him today. And please, if you're a voting member of the Grammys, please give it a listen at fyconline.com and click the daisy cover art and treat your ears. Speaking of ears, Chris is a survivor of early hearing loss, and he channels resilience and empathy into every note. He continues to tour globally, inspiring audiences through music that celebrates truth, healing, and unity. You can find out more at chrispierce.com, and you will see our banner going across the bottom with that very information. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Chris Pierce.
Hello, Chris.
Hello, Dr. Angie. Hi, Ruth.
Hi, good to see you. Thanks for taking.
Great to be with both of you.
Likewise.
What I like to know, first of all, is how did growing up in Pasadena shape your musical ear and your sense of community?
Well, profoundly. Pasadena, my parents came to Pasadena in the late 60s. They were an interracial couple. My father from the South, my mother from the North, and they sought out California as kind of a place of refuge for them. A place where they could be together and be accepted. And little did they know that there was just as much problems with race relations and as much intolerance in and around Southern California as there was where they came from. And so when they had me, we had a beautiful home, beautiful upbringing. My mother was a teacher, public school teacher. She worked with at-risk kids and was an English teacher as well. And my father at that time was a cytologist. And one of the really profound things that I remember, a couple of them were, one, crawling to vinyl records when I was really young, and being able to point at those records and really kind of scoping in on how music made me feel at a very young age. Yeah, and milk crates and milk crates of vinyl records, and I'd go point at the covers. And,
ooh, that smell, huh?
Yeah, exactly. And so I remember how that music really brought changed the whole energy in our house, no matter what was going on. I remember dance parties with my parents and their friends and getting up and trying to groove and move myself. And I also remember, things like a cross burning on our front lawn, and my mother waking up screaming. And I remember at 5 years old, not really understanding what that meant, but really understanding that it really affected the spirit of the moment and my parents in the house. And I think profoundly for me was the way that they chose to respond to that. They didn't hide out in the house. They didn't tuck in. They weren't afraid. They they chose to reach out to the community and open their arms and really uh, try to let the community know uh, what their love meant and that their love was no different than anybody else's. They had a barbecue and parties right where that cross was burning and in that front lawn and invited all kinds of people over, all kinds of friends from different religions and sexual orientations and races, and they all smiled and laughed and really, I think, demonstrated to the community that they were not only there to stay, but that their love was an everlasting love and they shouldn't be treated any differently. And I saw that and I was like, okay, this is powerful, and I'm a little kid seeing this and I'm thinking, well, this is a beautiful way to approach life because you know there's a lot of things that I've been through and I didn't know at the time the things that I'd go through as a black man in America, but it was a great springboard for me in action and reaction to some of the harsh realities of society.
Wow. I mean, you were saying you're 5 years old and you didn't understand it. I'm 65. She's 95. We
I
don't
still
understand
don't
it either.
understand it.
I
No.
just don't. I don't know where it comes from. Is it fear of other? Is it? I mean, just doesn't make any sense if you analyze it. We're all
Yeah,
people.
yeah. I think it's a lot of it's fear of what people don't know, and
Yeah.
I think a lot of folks just are afraid to educate themselves um, on on others and differences and how beautiful our authenticity makes us.
Yeah.
Um, and I feel like, especially now with all the social media and everybody kind of in their huddles and their corners, I think now is a really important time for
Mhm.
folks to still reach out to each other, talk to each other,
Yeah.
go
Absolutely.
out and yeah, and
Yeah.
communicate. Mhm.
I have many friends in Houston, especially who didn't vote the way I voted, but we have honest, open discussions and we learn from each other. It's like, oh, I didn't know that because again, we're in these silos, aren't we, with the news that we follow and all of that stuff is that, we're being fed what they want us to be fed. And so we just don't do politics because you're never going to change anybody's mind. They're going to do what they're going to do. And you just have to love them and support them and hope it all works
And
out for
just
everybody.
tolerate. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Toleration and moderation.
Well, I think that that's one of the really beautiful things about music is music has a way to cut through
Yes.
static and isolated feelings that people have on a daily
That's right.
basis, and
Yeah.
and I feel like, and that's music is just a really powerful way to have that civil discourse
Yeah.
and really offer ideas that may not be tangible otherwise in a regular conversation,
Yeah.
because music has such a deep way of just striking the heart and getting through all that mess and to really the emotional and empathetic part of the conversation that needs to happen with
Right.
folks.
Yeah.
You were saying, you were crawling through milk crates of vinyl records and being at house parties when you were 5. How old were you when you realized that music wasn't just an ingredient in your life and going to be a hobby? How old were you when you realized and made the decision, okay, this is going to be my path, my career, my passion?
Well, really, really early, Ruth. I remember being in church choir, and I was the big kid rocking back and forth in the back, and I remember them pulling me aside and pulling my parents aside and saying, uh, "This we don't see this joy often in children.
Yeah.
This kind of joy, this profound joy, and you should really think about supporting Chris into trying different instruments and that kind of thing."
Yeah.
And my parents told me that, and that struck me, and I just dove in. I dove in, and I didn't look back. And 52, and still haven't looked back.
Wow, you got
Oh,
you got a baby
yeah.
face.
Yeah.
Hey, thank
Oh,
you.
when you first sit down to write, what usually comes first? Is it the melody or the lyric or the story you need to tell?
Angie, I think it really comes any way it wants to, and I think the trick
Uh,
is just to let it in and let it through. It comes
Well,
in all.
if I may say so.
Yeah. Sometimes I wake up with entire songs in my head.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and ideas of songs and
Yeah.
ideas of arrangements and yeah. And then I think the trick is to wake up and and get to a pen and paper or your phone or a recorder quick enough.
Yes.
It just doesn't all go poof and it's gone.
Yeah, I used to write a lot of lyrics, a lot more than I do now. And it was sort of like I had certain places. I lived in Munich, for example, and there was a park I used to go to. And there are certain places in my life where I feel like I'm a satellite dish and I can just sit and tune in because every song ever written to me is already in existence in the universe. You just have to be still long enough for it to reach you.
Amen.
Right? We're all just a vessel of and there are still certain places in my life where I know I'm going to go and sit and be creative. It's almost like a tuning fork is in that spot with my name on it. It's weird.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. I completely agree with that. And I think it's about really being vulnerable enough to realize it and let it through. And it's deep as a way as it wants to come through.
Right.
Let all of it through. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So your performances are deeply soulful, aren't they? How do you sort of access that emotional place night after night when you're on the road?
Well, it's soulful is it's food for me. It's nourishment. It's nourishment for my soul, and it also nourishes me to reach out to other hearts and to feel that connection.
Mhm.
I feel like that gets me going and keeps me going. And even the idea of that, and the idea of getting to put another album out, and the idea of getting to tour again next year, it just that really keeps life for me in a place where I'm very grateful, thankful, and filled with gratitude every single day.
Yeah.
And it really honestly wants to, to answer your question, I think more directly, makes me want to get out there and just give every single bit of myself that I can while I can. And as long as I can.
Mm.
So that's what I do.
Terrific.
Well, and if you feel, sometimes people say to us, your stepbrother Paul's 83 years old and he doesn't need the money. Why the heck is he still out there?
Because he loves it.
Yeah, because he loves giving that to the audience, and what he gets back is immeasurable, right? What you get back from an audience, you can't measure it, can't describe it.
You can't. It's truly magical, and it's sacred. And it's something that I'm just so grateful to be able to do, and have such a journey to be able to still be on this journey. It's just incredible.
Lovely to hear.
Do you have any favorite types of venues, like whether it's like a small blues club or a big arena, or do you have a place you feel most comfortable?
I don't I like it all. I mean, honestly, I know that's a pretty I honestly like them all. I love smaller clubs, places like the Troubadour, where I'll be in November. Will be those kind of places where you can see every face. I think that's amazing. I really love theaters. I grew up from the time I was young in theater, and I actually clipped an ad out of the paper when I was 7 years old and showed my parents and told them I wanted to audition for a musical. And so the theater stage was my first, stage besides church choir that I really remember, and I'm really comfortable in theaters. So I'd say, I'd say those. But I mean, being in front of big crowds is amazing, and I feel blessed to have gotten to do that with people like Seal and Neil Young and BB King and Steve Earle, and it's just been incredible. I'd say they're all different and unique in their own really wonderful way.
Yeah.
What was the first largest crowd first big huge crowd you played for, and what was going through your mind as you're waiting in the wings, waiting to take that step out into the noise and the light?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that the first big crowds that I can remember were with when I did a really short stint singing with a band called Sonia Dada.
Oh yes.
back in '93, I want to say, with Dave Resnick on guitar and some
Yep.
incredible singers and an incredible band. And I think that was really my first time. And I was just awestruck, to be honest. I think the thing that was going through my mind and still goes through my mind in the moments before are how am I gonna communicate with these folks, and what's the energy like, what's the vibe like, what's going on around me, what's in the news today, um, how are folks feeling, how can we cut through, how can the music cut through. I think those are the things I think about the most, and to this day.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really, yeah. I mean, again, having had a very brief performing career in Russia, Lithuania, Siberia, Armenia, places like that, these huge halls, I get you. You're like, and especially when you play in foreign places where the people's native tongue is not necessarily English, but they know all the lyrics and they sing back. That's got to be incredible, right?
Yeah. I was just actually, I don't know if I dreamt about that last night or was having a conversation about it, but uh folks know, they know, and they can feel the music, whether they can understand all the lyrics or not, and they can feel the passion behind the music, and the beauty, and
Yeah.
it's incredible. It truly is. It's the universal language, music.
Yeah.
Music
I,
and love, and love is music, and music is love.
that's right. Now,
Absolutely.
you often touch on resilience and social conscience, don't you? So what current issues are you, affecting you, pushing their way into your songs? Well,
Well,
and
I think that complacency is something that I think about a lot. Um, I feel like it's important to encourage folks who stay silent and don't fight for those who can't fight for themselves. To encourage them to 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 speak up and stand up. I feel like we're in a place now where there's all of these vacuums and everybody kind of hears what they want to hear, and I feel like it's really, like we were talking about earlier, it's important to reach out and to be uncomfortable, to try to stir something new into the pot, to see what comes out, to challenge yourself and to challenge others. Um, and I think that complacency is something that it truly plagues our society, and I feel like folks go around and smile at each other and nod at each other, but then they're not willing to fight for each other. And I write about that a lot, though, that theme, and different examples of that in our history. I think I write about to really try to encourage folks to do that. And I kind of feel like just kind of putting a blistering lens on that is a way to bring people together, because
yeah,
it's not a finger point, but it's just a way to say, check yourself, take a good look at yourself in the mirror.
It's
Yeah,
a nudge rather than, and a tap
right,
on the shoulder rather than a fight. Yeah. And
right.
that's what's so great about the arts of any kind of format. Some of the most provocative art paintings will, you'll see people sit in an art gallery and look at a painting and think about what it means to them. Or stand-up comedy. We have a few friends in the comedy business, Tom Tran being one of them from the GIs of comedy. And I think comedians are there to push the envelope and provoke thought. And some of it is not my taste, but I get why they do it. And I think it's so important that we support the arts in any way we can to just keep, that freedom. That's what America was built on, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I was just talking about this with some musician friends the other day, um, we were having a real conversation about safety, and I was on a call with about 4 or 5 musicians of color, and we were talking about safety and how everybody felt going out. And there were folks that were saying, I've adjusted my set list and I'm not playing certain songs. And my position is, and was to them, and is now, is like, we have to keep playing those songs. We have to keep talking about things and offering ways for folks to think and move together. And there's not a show that goes by that I don't encourage whoever's in the audience, whether they agree with me or not, to come and talk to me after. I say, this is where I'll be. I'll be at the merch booth. I'd love to have civil discourse with you and talk about any of these subjects that I've sang about. And if you have any questions for me about my journey and how I came to these conclusions, I'd be more than happy. And people take me up on it, which is great. Yeah.
That's really great. Well, not only are they getting to meet the, celebrity star, rock star crush person, hero, but then, they will take something away from that conversation because you're Chris Pierce and because you are who you are, that you've taken the time to talk to little old me, about important things. And, if you raise one eyebrow, if you make somebody kinder, if you change one mind, or you stop one, ugly conversation, that you've done what you were there to do. It's fantastic.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. And, just reaching out and trying to stop this illogical, indescribable hate towards fellow human beings. I feel like that's where we should all keep pushing towards that.
Right. I mean, I always come back to the desert island thing. If there were 8 humans left on Earth and they were all completely 100% reliant on each other, and they were all of different backgrounds and races and skin colors and religions or whatever, they'd get along real quick, wouldn't they?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
If those are the folks in your Titanic lifeboat, they're gonna all of a sudden they're gonna be your best friends.
That's right. Who could cook? Who could clean? Who could do this? Yes.
Right, yeah.
And who could sing? Who could
right? And who can make you laugh? Which I think
who can make you laugh? Yes, Angie. Yes.
That's right. Speaking of collaborators and other musicians, what have you learned over the years when you sit down and write, like with a brand new person? How do you know if a co-write is working, and how do you cope? How do you communicate if you don't think it is?
If it's not, yeah.
Well, I haven't had many of the situations where it didn't work, but I think that's a practice that I've learned is to always start a co-write off with at least a half hour to an hour of just conversation. Like, let's meet at the coffee shop. Let's meet for lunch. Let's just talk and not even be thinking about co-writing. And I think that really puts some guards down and it lets people kind of be emotionally looser and more willing to share. And I think that, the times that, honestly, the times that co-writes haven't worked, I think there's just a point where you just kind of look at each other and say, okay, I think we're done for the day. And then it just doesn't go further, and I think everybody kind of feels when it doesn't work.
Yeah, let's go get a mushroom coffee.
Exactly, or two. Yeah.
So I'm fascinated by this. Right before we came on the air, I said to Chris, go get your tea, water, shot, whatever it is you drink or don't drink. And he's drinking that mushroom coffee stuff. I have to try it out. I've got to. I always thought it was going to be like watery mushroom soup, which I haven't.
Yes.
That's why I haven't tried it. What does it taste like?
Now that you said that, that's what I'm tasting. Watery mushroom soup. But no, it actually tastes like the one I have. It has a kind of chai tea vibe, and I add a little honey to it, but I don't add any milk to it.
No.
And I actually got into it because I had to take a year off from drinking any kind of coffee because I was having really bad tinnitus in my ears.
Right.
And I saw all of these specialists and did all of this kind of traditional medicine. I had to get brain MRIs and the whole thing. And then finally I went to see an acupuncturist in LA, and who specializes in tinnitus. And so he went over kind of some things to cut out. One was caffeine, one was salt content. And he said, these are things that are known. Nobody knows what causes tinnitus, but these are things that are known to reduce. So to this day, I'm still only drinking 1 cup of mushroom coffee, which is about half of the caffeine of a regular cup of coffee. And I've cut down salt, which is good, I think, in general. And I'm doing Qigong exercises and Tai Chi every day. I'm taking 24 Chinese herbs a day that all help. And I'm doing acupuncture, which has been the thing that has helped me. And so that's how I got into the mushroom coffee. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I had acupuncture years ago. I used to have terrible hay fever, And I went to an acupuncturist. I only have one kidney. I had my right kidney removed when I was 4 years old. And the guy starts taking your meridians, you know, your pulses. I think there's 7 on one side and whatever. And he was taking my right wrist. I was a kid. I was like 16. And he said to Ange, can we step outside and can I have a word? Do you remember? And he said to my mom, he said, do you know your daughter's only got one kidney? And he just knew that by touching my wrist.
Wow. Wow. Amazing.
And it completely cured my hay fever. No problems ever since.
Yeah, yes. So if anybody's looking for a good acupuncturist, Dr. Donald Barrett. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where's he located?
He is in Century City.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Thanks, middle of town. Funny. That's
Yeah.
wild. That's wild. That's wild. So we're gonna flip back to the industry for a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, what progress do you want to see in the industry around like inclusion on stages and in studios and even with crew members?
How do you think we can,
Yeah,
any of us listening can help with inclusion of, you know, more people of color,
Diversification,
more
yeah.
women, more just so we get that rainbow. I mean, is there anything you do sort of in your studio world as far as engineers or assistants or, you know, road crew?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's important to not only hire people you vibe with, but to really just to try to let your crew and your studio crew and your road crew really represent what you want the people you want your music to reach, and really let it represent this is who's surrounding me and my music, and this is who I want to reach. And
Yeah.
so I think it's kind of putting your I think it's putting where your money where your mouth is. Say like, if I'm talking about bringing people together and the power of music, then we have to be inclusive in our hiring practices as well. Yeah, and I think it's only going to make everything better.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. It's the old two heads of. I was going to say you put your music where your mouth is.
yeah.
That's what I meant to say. That's right.
So when you're off the road, when you're at home in Pasadena, where do you go to reconnect with people? Do you go out and see other bands? Do you go out and watch other people's music? And you know, how do you relax and sort of get back into the off the road, I'm home vibe? Because it's difficult coming down off a tour, isn't it?
It really is. It really is. And you know, I do spend a lot of time in the community. I do some community outreach programs around. In fact, I was just out a couple weeks ago doing some outreach at different places and Skid Row and worked with some at-risk kids in Pasadena. And so that's a really great way to connect with the community. And I also just really, when I'm home, I try to say yes to, you know, to folks that reach out and say, hey, I've got this gig. Do you want to sit in and play some harmonica? Or I have this thing happening, you know, do you want to come down and sing with me on the song? And that really kind of reconnects me with the pulse of what's happening in the community. I've also, you know, I'm also big on getting out and supporting the folks that are the vulnerable folks in our community in the way of protest. And I'm one that will get out on the streets and raise my voice and be out there doing peaceful protests. So I stay involved in the pulse of what's going on, how I can help and how I can get the word out, and also safety protocols and trying to let folks know this is where we'll be and this is how you stay safe and these are your rights, and try to share that information as well. I love to spend time with my wife and my dog. Hiking, I think, is wonderful. We love to cook. I'm a big wine person. I made wine for several years with a good friend. Yeah. So I love trying out new things as far in the wine world. Yeah. And I write a lot when I'm home, to be honest with you. I have a really hard time not letting a day go by without writing something. So that's
Wonderful.
daily practice as well.
That's fantastic. So you mentioned back in the day in Sonia Dada, which is where you met Dave Resnick. And for those who are listening, Dave is the CEO of Cinema Music Group, who is the label that released the songs of Neil Young, Heart of Gold Volume 1, and there is a Volume 2 in the works, I understand. And that is benefiting the Bridge School. How did you get, first of all, tell the folks a little bit about the Bridge School and what wonderful work they do. And how did you choose, or how did the track Southern Man, how did it come to you?
Well, if I could really quickly just start with how I know Dave, there's a story there, and then I'll move on to the Bridge School, and then the track. Dave and I met 1992 or 93, I want to say. I was singing background with a guy named John Butcher, who is like a big brother to me. And that was in Austin, Texas at South by Southwest. And Dave saw me there. He was in Sonia Dada and working with Chameleon Records. And Sonia Dada needed a singer for a little while. And I was about 18 and first year of college. And so Dave somehow found me at my girlfriend at the time's mother's house, and the phone rang, and there's Dave Resnick, and asking me what I'm doing for the next few months and would I like to go on tour. And so my response was, "You have to ask my dad and my mom." So I think he probably reached out to them, and pretty soon after that, I was on a plane with Dave. I met him at the airport for the first time, and he had long blonde hair down his back, and we went on a road tour that I'll never forget. Sonia Dada had a huge hit out at the time, and meeting Dave really changed my life forever, and the whole scope of everything I've done in music. And so to still be working together 30 plus years later, is just incredible. Dave's just, again, has had a profound effect on everything I do in music, and has taught me so much. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. And moving on to the Bridge School. The Bridge School is in Hillsborough, California. They do incredible work with kids with severe speech and
Mobility issues and speech.
yeah. And I had the honor of going up with Dave and Nico Bolas and Caleb from Kilphonic earlier this year and visiting the Bridge School. And I got to see firsthand really the work they do, not only in multidisciplinary work, but the work in the technology, and really changing these kids' lives. And I got to see the joy and the spirit, just the bright lights just shining through these kids, and it was just such a beautiful experience. And to communicate with the children was incredible. To get to play some music for them was incredible. And it was an experience that I'll never forget. I think that they really concentrate on communication and participation and learning, and also the family involvement. Not only did we get to talk to the teachers and the kids, but the families were there, and I think that was for me a takeaway, to see all the family involvement, and how open that is. So really wonderful. And I'm sorry, go ahead.
Many of these kids are nonverbal, aren't they?
Yes. And there's technology now that we got to see up close, where they have computers to help them speak and communicate. And so there were a couple things I remember, and I'm not sure if you've talked to Dave about this, but we've talked about it over and over again since we went there. Is that there was one particular young child, and when I was playing, she kept pushing the button on her computer, "I love it, I love it, I love it," over and over, and you could hear it on the speaker, and it just filled my heart with so much joy. And she was smiling, and she was communicating that she was feeling the music, and that it was reaching her heart. And to me, that connection it was just reminded me of how brilliant the work is that
Right.
I think that they're all doing together, because the kids have to be willing to do the work as well. My mother was an at-risk teacher, and she'll
Yes.
tell you over and over again, I can
Yeah.
only do so much. These kids have to be willing
Right.
to learn and to be open. And so I think they're all working together up there. The families, the teachers, the kids, the staff.
Fantastic. And I know Neil Young has been a long time founder. I don't know if he's a founder, but he's a big supporter. And I think he's a co-founder. And for many years, they did the Bridge School benefits right up until COVID, right? They would do them in Santa Barbara and New York and what have you. And then all of a sudden COVID came. And for a few years, there was no way to raise money. There were, all Neil's friends, big names. So I guess the next evolution that Nico and Dave and you guys came up with is, okay, let's raise money with using this record.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So the Bridge School, yeah, the concerts I think started in 1986, which was way back.
That's right.
Incredible all acoustic concerts. And so Dave and Nico had this incredible idea to uh, to make a record and to have it do in a way have a concert on a record, and to do something that can really benefit the Bridge School in a profound way, and really show our support as a community, the music community can still show support.
Well, I know Dave that the first pressing of the vinyl, which is the white vinyl, which is sold out, I remember he was on TeaFlix very proudly saying that the very first check that they were able to hand the Bridge School from your work and everybody else on the record, the Mumford and Sons, the Doobies, Brandy Carlisle, Fiona Apple, you're in good company, was $100,000, which is, for the love of music, that is incredible to help these kids and their families. It's just amazing.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's just really, for me, it's wonderful to be a part of that, and of that extension of not only Dave and Nico's hearts, but all of our hearts, as musicians who all got in and poured our hearts and souls into these incredible songs that Neil Young has given all of us, and to interpret those songs in a heartfelt ways, was just an incredible extension, I think, for all of us and the community. It really feels like community, this album. It's something that we all did together.
Neil's always been an incredible storyteller, hasn't he? And again, you want to talk about activism and belief in somebody who stood up for the better part of 55 years and told his truth. And some people came along, some people didn't, but he does it for the love of his heart and the art and everything he feels like he has to stand up for, and to be part of that, which gives back then the joy of music to the consumer, to the fan, but then can hand $100,000 checks to a school that is helping, kids with mobility and nonverbal issues. It's just, the circle closes, doesn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. And Neil's such an example for so many people in so many ways of not only how to give everything you have emotionally, but also make sure, like we were talking about, make sure the music is speaking profoundly and reaching as many hearts as possible, and really speaking to the urgencies of the moments that a lot of us are dealing with. And
So how did Southern Man come to you? You were beginning to tell me the story last week, and I said, let's save it spill the tea for me and Angie and the listeners at the same time.
Well, I think that what happened, and this was a little bit ago, and I'm getting older. I think that what happened was that Dave and Nico reached out, and they said, "Hey, we're thinking about start thinking about a Neil Young song that you may want to record." And so I thought about it, and I thought about it, and then I reached out to Dave. I thought about it, and I had this dream, and in the dream, my ancestors were singing to me "Southern Man," and and it was like I woke up, and I think I texted Dave, and I said, how about Southern Man? And his reaction was really, really, and Nico, they were both really enthusiastic about that. They said, that's a great idea. And then Nico Bolas had an idea to make it feel like a slow waltz in 3/4. And um, and so that was really, I was like, okay. And so I started strumming around with that. And
You
then
can't trust those Greeks. They'll mess anything up.
that's right, food and music, right? Uh, yeah.
Yep.
So and then then we spoke about doing a slight revision of the lyrics, of the verse lyrics, to make it more in first person, and I think that stemmed from my dream for me, and kind of thinking about like what would it be like if this were my ancestors singing this through me. And so in the first verse, instead of when will you pay them back is when will you pay us back. Uh, in the second verse is I'm your black man coming round, and swear by God they're gonna cut me down.
Right.
And so we came up with that and kind of the first person idea, and then they got the okay from Neil to do that slight first person.
That's gracious. That's so good. But that's so Neil. He is grace. He just
Yeah,
is.
he is absolutely. Absolutely. And then I recorded a demo at home on acoustic guitar, and I sent it over to Dave Resnick, Nico Bolas, and Dave Palmer, who's incredible keyboardist, who's played with everybody. Just an incredible, not only credible musician, but a credible person. And he assembled this wonderful band: Reggie Hamilton, Stella Mosgawa, Josh Lopez, Tim Young, and himself. And Dave Resnick, I believe, called in Charlotte Gibson, Dee Dee Foster, and Charlie Green to
Yep.
do background vocals. And then we set up a studio date. And I think that this song was the first song that ended up being, the album. And we got together early in the morning at the Village.
Oh, I love
And
the Billy.
yeah, me too. And I think the reason we got together early in the morning was because I had a flight to Nashville to go play at Americana Fest. And I think my flight left at like 11 a.m. or something. So we got together early, and we all got in there and set up. And
Magic happened.
yeah, there wasn't even a rehearsal. We did 2 takes, and it was all live. And I think what you're hearing on the record is the second take. Um, and they were pretty similar, but I think the second take had a little bit of magic in it, that a little extra magic.
But
Uh,
that's so classic Nico, isn't it? He's I've known him 40 years, and he just puts all of the pieces in play and all in the right place, and then just hits record. And boom. He once said to me, he said, when I hear Neil Young's truck pull up outside the studio, I start hitting record, because you never know what's going to come out of that man's mouth.
There it is. There it is. Yeah, yeah. And I love just that look, that Nico, that straight face he gives you, and he goes, "What do you mean it's done?"
Yeah.
And also, from the time I've been working with Dave, I remember him teaching me that when I was really young, going back in his back studio at his house, and I'd go back there with some friends, and we'd record some demos. And Dave really, when I was young, at least, I always wanted to fix things. Well, there's a note here, and there's this, that, and there's that, that's this. And I remember Dave going, the magic is in the conversation is in what's there, and as long as it emotionally feels right. And so Dave taught me that early on. Nico has definitely kept instilling that in me and so many other people, and I think that this practice is what makes these takes really special when you put them out, because people can feel it.
When I was recording my BMG, Big Mean Germans album over in Munich in 88, 89, I sent Nico a cassette home, back to LA and said, "Hey, here's how it's going." And he's like, "Oh, hell no." And he got on a plane.
He got on a plane.
He got on a plane with 2 Yamaha NS10 speakers in his suitcase, clean pair of Levi's, 4 white t-shirts, and some socks. And he says, "Pick me up at 11:40 on Thursday, whatever. I'm coming in. You this is not, the Germans ain't doing you right."
Mm-hmm.
He came in and did all kinds of crazy tape loops with, pencils on the back of chairs, and Z Germans, the organized German, were looking at him like, "What is one of those? In God's sake, where did this come?" And he brought his own little NS10 speakers in, and just completely transformed the way I was singing it. And a few of the notes are flat. And I'm like, "Oh, are we gonna, shall I sing that again?" And he just looked at me, that straight face again, and he said, "Does anybody dare to auto-tune Bob Dylan? I think not."
That's right. That's right. Amen. And Nico and Dave, it's like two examples of people that truly love and care about music. And they show up. They show up for folks day in and day out. And they show up because they care.
Well, and this whole record that we're hoping that NARIS voters are listening to this podcast and watching, head over to fyconline.com and click on the daisy, and Chris's Southern Man is for your consideration. And it's absolutely spectacular. It's the whole record is, but I have to say I'm a little bit biased. Yours is my favorite track. So
thank you, Ruth.
Just the way that cookie crumbles. But you can find out more about Chris at chrispierce.com, and you're going to be at the Troubadour when?
Troubadour is November 11th.
The angel number.
Yes, absolutely. And it's actually, the day before Neil's birthday, coincidentally.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, well, that'll be, when it turns midnight, it will be, you see.
Yes. There you go.
You're right.
Let's raise a glass for him.
Oh, we will. You should take some of that homemade wine in the band room.
There you go. Don't threaten me with a good time.
You got that right. Thanks so much for taking the time, because I know you're in the middle of so many projects and community things and outreach and songwriting. And thank your lovely wife for letting us have you for an hour. So we really appreciate that. And head over to chrispierce.com or fyconline.com. And you may not know this, Chris, but Angie here is also known as the Limerick Lady. And she has a book out called Mrs. McCartney's Liverpool Limericks and Other Random Irish Haikus. And so she put pen to paper just for you. And so if you're sitting comfortably, we'll close out with your personalized limerick from Dr. McCartney.
Thank you, Dr. Angie.
You want to count it in?
1, 2, 3. Chris Pierce is a man without fear, whose songs make the heart shed a tear. His musical dealings
evoke our deep feelings, spreading truth, hope, and joy far and near.
Ta-da!
Thank you so much. Wow.
There you go.
That went straight into my heart.
It's a Grammy winner, but it's meant from the heart.
Absolutely. Fantastic.
Yeah, thanks.
Received. Thank you.
There we go. Well, everybody's piling on, loving it. And you'll be able to see this on our YouTube TeaFlix channel and hear it on where you get your podcasts within the next 24 hours. Thank you so much, Chris, once again for spending the time, and best of luck with those Grammy nominations. You never know.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
And we're getting applause from the control bridge upstairs from Martin. So
all right.
That's a rarity too.
Yeah, all right.
See you guys all of a sudden.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.